A staffer leaned in and whispered, 2 minutes left. I signaled to the control booth, my voice steady. Play it. The projector began to roll. He's just a useless old man. The entire room held its breath. My name is General Richard Callahan, U.S. Army retired. 78 years of service to discipline, order, and loyalty had taught me many things. Chief among them, never mistake silence for weakness. Clicked off. Steam fogged the window enough to turn my lawn into a soft smear of green. On the desk, the Veterans Day, November 11, 1,000 hours program card sat like a small order I intended to obey. Beside it, my challenge coin caught the morning light and threw it back like a wink I didn't return. The phone rang once, the way it does when someone's already bracing for no. Emily. Her teacher voice. Brisk and bright, like announcements at a school assembly. Mark says Colonel Avery will be at the museum reception tonight.
Could you stop by? Just a hello?
Good morning to you too, I said, easing into the chair. If Mark needs a ladder, he can bring his own. Don't make it hard for him. I won't. Gravity will. She exhaled. This is Veterans Week. People will be watching. They always are. That's why they put the clock on the card. I nudged the program with a knuckle. Just be supportive, please. Support looks like standards, Em. Silence. Then softer. Please don't make a scene. Scenes are made by men who can't carry facts. I let the line sit. She changed the subject, which meant we'd said the thing that mattered. We said goodbye like we always did, kind, quick, careful. A heavy thud on the porch. The dog next door objected. I opened the door to a young delivery driver with a box that probably weighed less than his nerves. General Callahan? Sir, package. He held out the scanner, eyes flicking to the coin rolling across my fingers. Saw a post this morning. Tag said you'd be at the museum tonight. Honored to stand with my father-in-law, General Callahan. Looked nice. Did it. I signed with my last name and nothing else. Whole comment section was saluting. Felt, he swallowed, felt patriotic. Patriotism is quieter than comments. I took the box. Drive safe. He smiled, uncertain, and jogged back down the path. Tape's rip echoed as I opened the box. Inside, a fresh ream of legal paper and envelopes I hadn't ordered by accident. A gentle reminder to stay a man of the page, not the stage. The phone vibrated against the blotter. Mark. Sir, a quick word with Avery would help us all tonight. Clicked once on the wood. Dots pulsed, then vanished. My study softened into the hum of a house that had learned the habit of staying ready. I lifted the binder from the bottom drawer, the Veteran Scholarship Charter. My thumb found the tab where the revocation clause lived. I didn't open it. Not yet. A plan is only loud when it needs to be. In the kitchen, the coffee proved its point without flourish. I stood at the counter, watched steam rise like a deployment and end itself against the ceiling paint. Emily texted, "Promise me, no hard lines tonight." Bisexual ended with the only truth I trusted. Hard lines are how we paint straight. She didn't reply. Through the small routines, wiping the counter, straightening the photo of my late wife in her Sunday dress, adjusting the flag on its stand so the edge didn't brush the bookshelf. Quiet work, the kind that keeps hands out of trouble and minds close to center. The house phone rang again. I let it go once, twice, because sometimes people will take the hint. The machine picked up. I heard my own recorded voice say my name. A click, then a woman's desk smooth tone. General Callahan, this is the oversight clerk returning your inquiry. I lifted the receiver, then set it down before it touched my ear. Not yet. Let the message finish. We can confirm receipt of your message and would appreciate a follow-up window this week. Thank you. The light blinked red like a slow heart. I poured the rest of the coffee into a travel mug and set it beside the program card. The coin slid under my palm, cool and familiar. I pocketed it. That was my answer, more than any text. The dog next door barked again, the bark it used for mailmen and thunder. I checked the front window. Blue sky, clear enough to tempt anyone into thinking a storm had never happened. Phone buzzed in my pocket. Mark again. Avery stops by the bar before speeches. Just 5 minutes, sir. Big help. Rosenberg. Doors are for knocking, not borrowing. Paralyzed. He didn't push back, not there. Men like Mark prefer a crowd. I shut the binder without reading. It wasn't time to arm the paper. Not when the day had other work. Shaving without cutting, shoes that shined without apology, a jacket that knew how to sit on my shoulders without reminding me what those shoulders had carried. I stepped back into the study before I left. The Veterans Day, no V11, 1,000 hours card waited. I tapped it once with the coin through my pocket, a habit I hadn't earned, but had adopted anyway. Stabilize pulse. Patience steadies my hands. Silence is not surrender. Quang's screen woke, as if it had something to say. One new notification blinked under the lock clock. I didn't tap it. I didn't need to. The words were already enough to keep my day pointed toward the thing it wanted. Clerk, Arrow 12. The museum's reception hall smelled like polish and old wood, a clean memory. A banner over the mezzanine ran a loop. Veterans Week, ceremonies in 4 days, as if the building itself was keeping count. Windshield found me before the valet tag cooled in my pocket. Sir, he squeezed my hand too long, the grip of a man measuring, not greeting.
Colonel Avery's just come in. Let me walk you over.
Evening, I said, releasing first. Walk yourself. Emily slid between us like a ceasefire flag. Dad, just a hello. He's 2 minutes from the bar. A hello is free, I said. Introductions charge interest. She gave me the elementary school teacher look that had calmed gymnasiums. Smile, please. Notarize truth. I kept mine in its holster. Mark's laugh matched the room's volume too loud. Sir, a handshake from you opens doors. Then knock. He blinked, recalibrated. Right, let's at least get a quick photo. Step and repeat setup. Callahan family, shot will mean a lot to the donors. LeBue's strobe popped, pulling faces toward the backdrop where the museum's logo repeated in patriotic wallpaper. The photographer waved us over. General? Family shot? Great light? Microscopic guided Emily with a hand at her back, then angled his shoulder to leave a space the size of my endorsement. I stepped left instead, letting a colonel and his wife fill it. Lowered his lens. General? Southeastern? I said. I'm just a guest. A pause, a professional smile, the click, anyway. Mark's jaw worked once and reset. He turned us back toward the bar, where Colonel Avery had gathered a small orbit of captains. Colonel, Mark said, volume set to broadcast, I was just telling General Callahan. You were telling me, I said, that you'd sign your own work. Forging Avery's eyes slid to mine, amused or cautious. General, good to see you out. I said. Mark tried again. Sir, the Colonel's review board is... Avery raised a hand an inch, like a traffic officer easing a car. Enjoy the evening, Ellison. We all work tomorrow. Emily tugs, he needs a start. Starts are earned. Once I tapped, the coin against the bar. The sound carried farther than a lecture. At my elbow, a junior officer with a buzz cut the regs couldn't improve, leaned in without looking like he was leaning. Sir, he said, voice low into the band's brass. He's been using your name on procurement calls. His eyes stayed on the bottles. People notice. Your name? I said. Not mine? He cleared his throat. Gotta get back. He did, like a man who'd thrown a note out a car window. Mark watched the photographer drift toward the colonel and spotted a new angle. Sir, just 5 minutes with Avery. Opens doors for a training initiative I'm leading. We're aligned. You in training? I said. That's news. Always eager to learn from leaders, he said smoothly. From family. Emily's smile had edges now. Dad. I took a sip of club soda that tasted like the same glass they always use at these things. You want 5 minutes? Ask him for 5 minutes. Entering me to cold, he tried humor and managed complaint. I'm asking you to be an officer. He turned to Avery, but the colonel was deep in a conversation that I might use that. Don't, I said. He made a show of laughing, touching my shoulder like we were closer than the space between us. The band hit a patriotic medley. Servers angled through with skewers and small talk. The photographer reappeared with hustle. General, Colonel, quick snap together. Kang Avery shook his head without apology. I'm off pictures. He drifted, as men with rank do, by choosing not to stay. Mark's mouth tightened before his smile went back on. "It's fine," he told Emily. "We'll catch him at dinner." She looked at me the way daughters do when they can't reconcile two men they love. "Can you just try?" "I'll be civil," I said. "That's more than most men deserve." He raised his glass, rehearsal lines warming up behind his eyes. "To family," he said. "Collegible," I said softly. "Words get recorded." He didn't understand that yet. He would. The PA clicked alive with a small pop. "Attention guests," a voice said. "Please join us in thanking our distinguished veterans. A reminder, Veterans Week ceremonies in 4 days. Schedules are posted in the foyer." Applause traveled the room like a choreographed wave. I let my hands meet twice, the sound my own. The coin warmed in my palm, a small discipline. Avery drifted near again, not to me but past me. He nodded once. To me, not to Mark. "General," he said, casual as weather, "we'll be reviewing a training incident." His eyes moved from Mark to me and back, a slide rule measuring something I already knew he'd seen. Dinner in the officers' club moves like drill. Chairs square to tables, glassware aligned, conversation in controlled bursts. The band eased into something safe. I checked my phone for the time. The lock screen flashed it back. November 11, 10,000 hours T3, and went dark. Emily leaned in. "Please, Dad, just keep it smooth." "I am smooth." I set my water down without a ring, smooth and unmoved. Cylindrical worked the room, handshakes like fishing line. He returned with a grin, and a server in tow carrying a small portable mic. "For brief remarks," Mark said lightly, seating it at the head table as if he'd been asked. The mic made a soft thump on the linen. Its red standby eye blinked awake. "Who asked for that?" Emily whispered. "He did," I said. "He's asking the room." After 2 junior officers took the seats opposite us, eyes bright, the way young men look at a storm they think won't reach them. One tried to catch my eye. I let the gaze land and pass. Witnesses find themselves. You don't recruit them. Mark topped off his own glass, a flourish that said camera even if there wasn't one. "Sir," he called toward me, easy in public, "honor to have you here." "Tables are honored by the bill," I said. "Men are honored by their work." He laughed like I'd told the joke he wanted. The server withdrew, satisfied the mic would not wander. Emily put a hand on my sleeve, a gentle chain. "Please, don't respond if he what? If he performs." The band took a rest. Silverware quieted the way fields do when wind stops. Mark stood, glittering with other people's attention, and raised his glass toward the ceiling, then dropped it to the crowd. "To family," he began, voice warm and practiced. "To the men who built the ladders we climb. To legacy." Polite clinks answered. He turned the beam of his smile on me. "And to my useless old man of a father-in-law." The room stalled. A few short laughs fired on instinct and misfired into silence. Emily's fingers tightened. I felt the small shiver of someone ashamed of someone else's choice. I stood without scraping the chair. The coin in my pocket felt like a cool instruction. I took it out and set it on the tablecloth where the mic could see it, and maybe the room could hear it. "A single clean click," I said, calm enough for a courtroom. "You won't lean on my name, my fund, or my silence." The red eye of the mic didn't blink. Nobody moved. "Dad," Emily breathed. "Please." I kept my eyes on Mark. "You'll thrive on merit if you mean to thrive. If you don't, you'll stop asking men to carry you." Held like a smile long. "Oh, come on, sir. It's a toast." "Funciones, I see," I said. Filed, noted. He let a little edge through. "You'll regret this. Skeletal is for guesses. I prefer receipts." Officers swallowed loud enough to count as commentary. The other lowered his gaze to his knife as if that would make the table smaller. Across the room, a colonel whose name I didn't need gave me the brief nod soldiers use when they've seen a line drawn correctly. I came small but solid. "Mark, sit down." Ellipses, he didn't. "Let's not make a scene," he told her, which is how men make scenes. "We have dinner," I said to the table because the room needed a way to breathe again. "Let's eat it." groping for the charm he'd misplaced. To work, I said, and sat. Service resumed with the relief of weather breaking. Plates arrived. Forks did what they were made to do. The mic stayed there blinking, a little red conscience. Emily leaned close. "You could have let it pass." I said, "I let it pass right into a boundary. People will talk. They always do. It's our job to give them something true to discuss." She looked across me at Mark, whose smile was now a line called a mouth. "He'll be angry," I said. "Anger isn't a strategy." Chair with its entitled scrape, he leaned in toward me as if whispering a joke. "You know, sir, donors like stories about legacy. They pay attention to facts." He chewed that without tasting. The junior officers asked Emily a question about her school, grateful to stand in any other weather. She answered with the grace she carries, and I let the sound of her voice wash the edge from the room. The band tried again and found its footing. Plates emptied. Mark checked the time like a man with more evening to spend than he could afford. I glanced at my phone when it buzzed under the table, a habit, not an answer. The lock screen kept its promise. Nov 11, 1,000 hours, T through 3. I palmed the coin off the linen and back into my pocket. Boundaries go where you can carry them. I pushed my chair back an inch to stand, then didn't. Better to leave at a normal pace, like a man with nothing to flee and nothing to chase. Powerless tight smile returned, practiced again, as he leaned just enough to claim privacy. "Then we'll talk tomorrow. Heart pulse, anger burns off quick, policy lasts." With the habit of a post, the house knew the route: kettle, blinds, desk. The Veterans Day, Nov 11, 1,000 hours card watched from the corner like a quiet sergeant. I set the challenge coin beside the keyboard and opened the folder I'd already named in my head. Procurement, Ellison. The cursor blinked like a little metronome for patience. I dialed the JAG office. "Captain Reyes," a steady voice said. "Callahan. Headers intact, originals preserved." "Good. Submit through the portal. I'll timestamp on receipt and seal the chain." "It's steps, clear and simple." He added, "General, stick to facts. Rumors flying." Plunged. Rumor can fly, paper lands. The line burped, and somewhere in the base switchboard, a wrong route clicked me into public affairs. "Sir, if this is about narrative, we can help message." "Out policy," I said. "Of course, but optics." "Policy first, optics follow." I ended the detour and redialed Reyes. He picked up on the second ring. "Back with me?" "With you." I set the phone to speaker and pulled the emails into a single packet. The screen filled with subject lines that had looked friendly at the time and now looked like a trail. The coin tapped the desk once. "Uploading." Emily called through on the cell. I muted JAG. "Dad, about last night, could we cool it? Let Mark handle it inside the unit?" "He's handled enough inside the unit." Prosecuted Tiss red tone. "If you file, it becomes a thing." Uffles. "Already is a thing." I'm de-escalating to policy. "Plunder waiting is what he's counting on." I unmuted Reyes. "Captain, you still there?" "Portal's live," he said. "When you click, you'll see our intake banner. That's your visible anchor. Keep the rest off camera. I'll log the hashes on my side." Understood. I slid the cursor where it needed to go. The phone buzzed again, unknown number. I let it pass. I wasn't collecting callers today. I was collecting receipts. Tay. On the porch, I took a breath that tasted like dry cedar and fence paint, steadied my hands on the rail, and came back to the desk as if crossing a line of departure. The coin sat where I'd left it. I tapped it once more. Submit. The page blinked, spun, and resolved into the banner I wanted. Intake received. Target response. 72 hours. A small exhale. Heart pulse. Dignity doesn't argue, it documents. "Banner's up," I told Reyes. "Copy. I'm marking time of receipt. Do not circulate screenshots. If asked, you can say, filed with JAG, response expected within 72 hours. I'll call if we need sworn statements today." "Make the call," I said. "I'll be here." He paused. "Sir, PR's going to sniff. Stay with me, not with them. Already hung up on them once. Keep doing that. Clang clean. I saved the portal confirmation to a local folder, no file names anyone else would recognize, and shut the laptop halfway like a lid on a pot that still boiled. Tage, the landline rang again. Emily. I talked to Mark, she said, skipping the hello. He says, this is a misunderstanding. He says you're mixing up who asked who for introductions. Introductions are free, I said. Contracts aren't. Dad, don't make this adversarial. It's adversarial because he made it that way. I'm not arguing with him. I'm documenting him. He's up for a review board, she said. You know that's delicate. So is a soldier's life when corners get cut. She went quiet then. Please just be careful. I am being careful. That's why I filed. I stepped out to the porch with the phone still warm against my ear. A breeze lifted the flag edge. Down the street, a garbage truck hissed, the kind of ordinary that keeps a man grounded. Next door, Mrs. Keegan cracked her screen door and gave me a nod. I returned it. Some conversations don't need words. Back inside, the inbox coughed up new mail, nothing useful. The usual flyers. A robocall tried to sell me a security system. I let it taste the dial tone. I checked the portal again like a man checking a lock. Once is enough. Twice is habit. 3 times is fear. I stopped it twice. The phone chimed with a text from an unknown to chat about context before this becomes a headline. I typed, no context needed, policy in progress, then deleted it. Some answers work best as silence. I put the phone face down and organized the physical folder. Printouts, a yellow tab, a sticky note that said only, Reyes, call back if needed. Mid-morning sun stretched across the blotter. The coin was warm under my palm. I rolled it once, then laid it flat. If I was going to be accused of being old, I would at least be accused of being old-fashioned in a way that holds. Tumbled buzzed again. Emily. I picked up. I'm fine, I said. People are already talking, she said. Be kind. Unleashed is telling the truth early, I said. It gets cruel when you let lies grow. She sighed. Please don't escalate. I'm de-escalating to policy, I said again, because some lines deserve repetition. A quiet beat. Okay, she said. I love you. I love you too. Welcome there, where we still knew how. I turned back to the laptop to write myself a short log entry, a habit that got me through years of nights. Filed procurement packet. JAG intake banner confirmed. Reyes to seal chain. Expect noise. The noise arrived on schedule. My phone lit with a text. The image loaded slow enough to feel intentional. A blurred photo of me and a man in a suit at some fundraiser years ago, the kind of handshake picture every veteran accumulates and forgets. The caption read, Contractor. Exercised. Windshield. The base legal lobby smelled like paper and floor wax. Fluorescence hummed the way bureaucracy hums, steady, unbothered by heat. I stood at the counter while Captain Reyes slid a manila envelope across to me. Take sealed, he said. Keep it flat. I opened it enough to see the letterhead and the red stamp. I raised it eye level, no flourish, just the truth meeting air. Plain steel, I said. Reyes nodded. If anyone asks, your language is, filed with JAG, review window closes end of day Friday. Don't add nouns. I won't. The stamp caught the light. Authority made visible without volume. General, he said, lower. Don't text it around. One artifact, one anchor. I'll carry it, not parade it. Wilmington to the side table. He tapped a line with a capped pen. Sign here that you received the copy. Originals remain with us. I signed, then slid the letter back into the envelope like you put a flag away. Clean, careful. Boot heels clicked on tile. Sir, said a voice I knew like an old cadence. MSG Tom Harlan, retired and still straight. You need a witness, you've got me. I might need your voice, I didn't hide the envelope. You'll have it, on record. He looked at Reyes. I'll come back for a statement if needed. Reyes, we'll call. Harlan squeezed my elbow once, soldier to soldier, then left me with the quiet that follows a good hand on your arm. I stepped outside into the decent air and set the envelope on my truck seat. The coin came out of my pocket, and into the corner of the phone frame as I took a photo of the stamped receipt. The stamp visible, nothing else. I uploaded the copy to my encrypted archive, then slid the letter back flat. Chain clean. My phone rang. Mark. "Sir," he said, voice soft like borrowed velvet. "We should align. Align to policy. Enemies in-house. Let me talk to Avery. We can present a unified. Aude and I are not a uniform. This hurts Emily. Lies hurt Emily. Proof protects her." That didn't land. "You always were a poet with rules. Rules don't rhyme. They stand." He lowered his tone like we were in church. "I can make this go quiet. Inman is how it happened." "Maybe," he breathed through his nose. "You're confused about context." "I'm clear on receipts," I ended the call. The dashboard clock ticked louder than it should. I sat for a moment, felt the old anger try to rise and burn itself out before it spoke. Heart pulse proof is the only language rumor understands. Back inside, Ray's handed me a sheet protector. "Keep the edges clean. If someone bumps you, you want the copy to show no wear." My elbow's out. "Good. And General, if PAO calls, don't pick up. Let them leave voicemail." Who would not need to speak to understand where the other stood? Out, the lobby doors open for a private in a sling, his girlfriend guiding him with the care of someone afraid to press. He didn't need speeches. I didn't give one. We traded nods. The Velcro on his sling made a small rip when he adjusted it. It sounded like the world making a promise to close around him while he healed. Take outside, wind lifted the edges of the Veterans Week posters taped to the glass. I checked the footer of the letter again in the truck. Review window closes EOD Friday, then tucked it away and drove. At a red light, I texted Emily, filed. Review window closes Friday, be kind to yourself today. She replied, "This will blow up." Back, stabilize, I sent back. At home, I laid desk drawer and slid the coin into the photo's corner on the desk, its small weight holding the image of the stamp where my eye would catch it and remember not to speak when paper could. The phone chimed. An auto reply banner slid across the top of the screen, brisk and bland the way truth often is. Training range injury report, request acknowledged. Presumption kept its blinds half closed, like it didn't want to see its own paperwork. Lieutenant Patel met me at the counter without ceremony. "Technically," he said, voice low, "you didn't get this from me." "Kaepernick." "I got it from the logs," I said. He handed over a clipboard turned sideways, the log header crisp at the top. "Waivers dated after the live fire. The initials don't match the schedule roster." "Copy the numbers," I said. Phone camera ready, but steady. "I'll cite lines, not names." He set the clipboard down. I placed my challenge coin on the edge to hold the sheet flat and took one shot, header visible, nothing else. Chain clean, no codes paraded. Patel swallowed. "You didn't hear this," he said again. "Training tempo's been creative." "Creative gets people hurt," I said. My cell buzzed. Emily. I turned away from the window where a squad stacked rifles. "I'm at the range," I told her. "Dad, please don't talk to anyone." "Wildfires." "I already did." "You're going to make enemies." "We protect soldiers first." "People say you're confused about dates." "I'm looking at dates," I said, on paper. She sighed, small and tired. "I just don't want this to eat you," I said. "I eat facts for breakfast." I ended before kindness became compromise. Patel cleared his throat. "Dispatch clock reads hot on the medevac. You'll want that board." "Hospital?" "Creer." My phone lit with Mark. "Stand down before you embarrass Emily. Misreading logs. Let me interpret. Interpretation is how lies dress up." Then deleted it and put the phone face down. Some men mistake the absence of reply for room. It's actually a wall. The desk phone on Patel's side trilled. He ignored it. Mine rang next, an unknown base number. The voice on the other end came breathless and hushed. "General Callahan?" I can't discuss this on this line." A click pop, and the line went dead. No voicemail left. I watched the call logs settle into silence, then I pocketed the coin and nodded to Patel. "Appreciate your caution." "Appreciate yours," he said. "If anyone asks, we never spoke." "Understood." A corridor was let the additional cab tear were in the skull. or telling back to a face of noun trauma, where welcome to size of trauma, wherein the white was a 10 sasters. It is in the quarter trackler calcare, it is in a credit a minicrol sub security wear cup. As for entire, one of the back one sale, just the time I do what was at deep in sea, marks at shift code, the lading pass, at skills one of the young. But with a razy explode why sleep colleges and neighbors, unforced colleges, welcome to Casey at Passness. Some of us safe sin, and it's still leaking. Notice security welking calls the podcast, undorting your back, a breach mark, unto streamler alone, welking out his qualitary party American Saturday. Ears it seems his corridor pole, backing on hebbing with first. A young corpsman answered, said copy twice, then hung up with the flat face of someone practiced at not reacting. Patel had given me what could be given without a name. The hospital gave me what could be seen without a request. I breathed once, slow, to put the burn out before it could find words I would regret. Heart pulse. Fear belongs to cowards. Caution belongs to guardians. On my way out, I stepped back into the sunlight and called Reyes. Range log header secured, one photo. Medivac board shows 1407 with wall clock in frame. Good, he said. Do not transmit images yet. Keep them local. I've logged your call as a chain note, no numbers recorded. Copy, undertake. And General, expect noise. Fran's already here. Then stay deaf to everything except policy. Roger. Ignite the phone and cross the parking lot. The sky had the kind of hard blue that makes you think nothing bad can happen under it. Men get hurt under skies like that all the time. Patel's text arrived as I reached my truck. Command knows you're asking questions. I sat behind the wheel and let the message glow. A small warning light on a panel I'd flown by instrument for most of a life. The regimental conference room was all glass and caution. Sun hammered the blinds hard enough to stripe the table like rank. Veterans Day, T2 Days 10 ceremony scrolled across a wall monitor in a slow crawl that treated time like a fact, not a suggestion. Colonel Avery took the head seat not because it mattered to me, but because it mattered to the captains watching from the wall. Mark slid into the chair at my 9 o'clock, smile tuned to reasonable. I set my folder down and kept my voice at courtroom volume. Headers, logs, times. I placed the packet at the midpoint so no one would have to reach too far to pretend they didn't see it. Read the stamps. VPN lifted the cover, scanned the top sheet, and passed it to his adjutant, who didn't make the mistake of glancing at Mark first. Captain Reyes is on speaker, Avery said, pressing a button. Counselor, you're live. Copy, Reyes' voice came all clean edges. General, the procurement emails you uploaded, hashes match the originals we sealed. Range log header, photo time aligns with internal record. Chain intact. Unfinished, a man telling a story only he could hear. Counselor, with respect, the general has been mixing dates. Perfectly understandable at his stage. He means well. I didn't look at him. The logs don't age, Captain, I said to the phone. People do. Reyes' chain speaks for itself. Avery's eyes stayed on the page. Colonel's note, he said to his adjutant. Acknowledge receipt. The adjutant slid a transmittal sheet toward him. He initialed the line with a single clean stroke. I didn't lean in. I didn't need to. An initialed receipt line is louder than any argument. Mark tried again. Sir, there's a context issue. The general's conflating a training waiver. Preg, which was backdated, I said. Range control confirms. Avery raised a hand, a finger's width. Ellison, let's not litigate facts in here. To Reyes, any outstanding requirements? 2, Reyes said. A sworn statement from MSG Harlan is queued if needed, and PAO has sniffed around. Recommend all personnel avoid public comment. Mark sees that. Exactly. Avoid public comment. We can handle this internally. Earnily, I said, is where it got hurt. Echoed up for the first time. The room went still, the way rooms do when they remember why doors close. The packet is acknowledged, he said. Counselor, note the time and initials. Logged, Reyes said. I tapped my challenge coin once against the folder, one small metallic syllable. Heart pulse. I don't raise my voice. I raise the legend. My phone buzzed against my thigh. Emily, please let it go. You've done enough. I typed with my thumb under the rim of the table. Enough is when soldiers stop getting hurt. Mark leaned back like he'd won something. Sir, for the sake of family harmony, perhaps we can keep legacy discussions out of the room. The donors don't sit at this table, Avery said. Soldiers do. Mark swallowed a line and dressed it as a smile. Of course. I slid the packet back to my side of the midpoint without theatrics. Captain, I said to the speaker, confirm that any follow-up requests come to me directly. Confirmed, Reyes said. General, if anyone asks you to transmit copies, decline. We've got chain, no duplication. Understood. Avery closed the folder. We'll review. If your material holds, and to be clear, the signatures and timestamps are compelling, we'll act. We always do, I said, eventually. He took that without flinch, which is why he wears the eagles. We're done here, he said, and stood. Chairs scraped like a polite storm. At the door, Mark drifted into my path, all suavity and teeth. Sir, 1 minute? You've had many. To the tone men use for stage whispers that are meant to be overheard. Family dinner, tomorrow. Be reasonable. Roofing is a word people use when they've run out of proof. Or patience, he said. I've got plenty of one, I said, and enough of the other. To a hand on the door frame like he owned part of the building. You know this will get ugly if you keep pushing. Ugly is already here, I said. I'm just turning the lights on. Unfor smiled too hard. Tomorrow at 7 then. Tomorrow at 7, I said. As he moved away, I caught Avery's reflection in the glass clock. He was watching, not interfering. Good. Witnesses find themselves. Alway, I called Reyes back. You heard the family dinner invite. Keep all materials off your person for that, sir. No paper at meals. Copy. In general, expect a soft counter. He'll try to wrap this in legacy. To fake then a waiver. I pocketed the phone and stepped into the late afternoon brightness. The monitor in the lobby repeated itself in slow authority. Veterans Day, T, 2 days, 10 o'clock, ceremony. The clock under it kept time with a patience I recognized. Outside the conference room door, Mark's voice rose and fell with someone else's practiced compassion. I didn't need to hear the words. I knew the rhythm. It was the rhythm men use when they're rehearsing a threat as care. I walked past him without breaking stride. Cafes near hospitals keep their volume down. People come in carrying the kind of mornings that don't need more noise. I took the corner table with my back to the wall and the hotel reservation slip in front of me. November 10, 20 o'clock, check-in. A small timer printed in black ink. Tom Harlan arrived 10 minutes early, the way men do who still keep habits. He sat, set his cap down, and let the steam from his coffee fog his glasses. You're sure you want to do this? He asked without preface. I'm sure I'll need it seen, I said. He stirred his coffee once. Spoon clink. Staff at the Hyatt says the niece, Alden's, comes in a different elevator. Same floor as Ellison, same nights, no names exchanged. Security's not going to risk a statement without a subpoena, but they're not blind. Sightings in stone. Then you're thinking a camera. The small charger on the table like I just emptied a pocket. It looked like 100 others, a rectangle with a secret. Harlan watched it. You have a window? Tonight, he prides himself on patterns. I turned the charger once, felt the seam, found the button without pressing. Emily? He asked. Dinner at 1900, I said. She wants calm. Can you give her that? Yes, I said. And the truth. He took a sip. You want me there? Not at the hotel, I said, but close enough to pick up if I need a witness to chain of custody on the back end. He nodded. You'll have my voice, on record. We let the silence sit long enough to become respect. My phone buzzed. Emily, tonight, 1900, family dinner. Be there, I wrote. She added, please, no surprises. I don't do surprises, I do receipts. Tilted his head at the slip. 8 p.m. check-in. That leaves you 40 minutes after dinner if you eat fast. I don't eat fast, I said. I finish what I start. At that, you always did. I slid the charger into my palm and looked at it the way you look at a tool you're about to trust. I'll do the placement after I confirm he's on the floor, I said. No shots of faces in hallways, only in-room, with audio, clean. Feature? FLIR? Device backs up to cloud on trigger. Duplicate to a local card. No numbers paraded. Hashing in the morning. That's clean, he said. You've done this before. I've done everything before, I said. Just not this. He sat back. My wife would tell me to ask if you really want to see it. I don't want to see it, I said. I want it seen. He nodded. That's different. We left it there because there wasn't more to add that wouldn't make it weaker. I paid, not because he couldn't, but because a man should when he's asking someone to stand next to him in a storm. Back at the table, I rolled my challenge coin across my knuckles. Not a trick, just an old motion that kept my hand honest, then laid it beside the charger, so the two small weights sat like a pair of decisions. Heart pulse. Patience is a weapon when timed. A text from Mark didn't arrive, which meant he was busy making someone else's phone ring. Good. Let him be productive where it won't matter. I walked out into the sun with the charger in my pocket and the reservation slip folded into my wallet like a quiet order. I rehearsed the placement in my head, the plug near the desk, the angle of the bed visible, the microphone tuned to voices and not to the air conditioner. By the time I reached the truck, the plan felt less like a hope and more like work that a man could do. At home, I laid the charger on my desk next to the coin. The small status LED winked alive, a tiny pulse, then went dark. I watched it one beat longer than I needed to. Then I put the charger back in my pocket and left it there like a promise I meant to keep. Hyatt carpets swallow footsteps the way secrets swallow names. I moved down the executive floor corridor with a jacket over my arm and a newspaper under it like I had errands no one needed to ask about. At the end of the hall, the ice machine breathed its small, mechanical breath. I waited there, listening to doors that didn't open. My phone buzzed. Emily home? Soon, I typed, then erased it and locked the screen. The alarm that lived behind it was set to do its job. Veterans Day Ceremony, T1. I took the elevator one floor down, then back up with a family of tourists who smelled like chlorine and sleep. On the ride, I slid the charger into my palm and let the muscle memory settle over my fingers. The door opened on my floor and I let the family go first. I followed at a civilian pace, a man with a plug and nowhere to be. Percival, the room I'd rented, wore its hotel smell, cleaner, quiet HVAC, a hint of lemon. I placed the charger on the desk, bent to the outlet and clicked the plug home. The tiny red LED went from nothing to steady, no blink, like a heart that meant it. I set the lamp forward a hair, sighted along the desk to the bed, and checked the angle. Good. I hit the button I knew without looking. Position in my ear. Sergeant Miller on the call. Red light steady? Steady, I whispered. Audio hot? Hot. Waveform looks clean. I don't do thrill, I said, keeping my voice a temperature lower than the room. I do proof. Then you're in the right hotel, he said. I left the room the way I'd entered, with a jacket that made me look like anyone who needed ice. In the corridor, I took 4 slow steps and leaned by the machine with the paper open to the sports page. The door down the hall opened at 2038, right on a pattern a man would brag about if anyone liked him enough to ask. Mark's voice reached the hall first. Amusement already poured. Finally, no useless old man tonight. The kind of laugh people practice when they've never paid for the joke. Alden's niece. Their door shut. Miller's voice stayed level in my ear. Voice is on. Angle holds. You're clear. Family. Once through my nose, then twice to put the adrenaline back where it belongs. Heart pulse? I don't need adrenaline. I need the file. A housekeeper's cart rattled past. I moved to let it by, and became a man being polite to an overworked stranger. The cart's wheels squeaked, then faded. The corridor returned to its thick quiet. I stood long enough to name patience as work, then took the elevator down, crossed the lobby, and bought a bottle of water I didn't need, so the cameras below would have me being ordinary on their record. Time? I asked. Miller Stige. We're at 9 minutes in. Audio has him on procurement talk, leverage, Legacy, real quotable. Furious? Nile image from mirror when she checks lipstick. You'll like it. I won't like any of it, I said. I'll use it. I walked to the parking garage and sat in the truck as if I were resting between errands. My phone lit itself. Emily again. You promised calm, be home. After dinner, I typed, and this time, I hit send. Upstairs, the room kept doing what rooms do when you point the right tools at them. Down here, I watched taillights move through levels of concrete like small reasons people give themselves to leave. Miller cleared his throat. He said it again. Useless old man. A pause. Also, I've got his daughter's money and soon I'll have the general's niece. You can't buy confession like that. No, I said, but you can rent the room. A beat. You're good at this. I'm good at waiting. We gave the room 3 more minutes than I thought I needed. Then I said, initiate backup. Copy. His keyboard clattered in my ear, then stopped. Primary to cloud 90, 95, done. Local card, writing. The garage staircase door opened and closed without anyone. Somewhere 2 floors up, a suitcase zipper sang its zipper song. My alarm blinked on the lock screen at the top of the hour T1 and then hit itself. Local's at 70%, Miller said. If he pulls the plug now, we still have cloud. He won't think to look, I said, apprised. Mind rarely surprised, I said. I'm sometimes disappointed. He laughed once. 98, copy secure. Paper on his end shuffled. We're good. You can pull the device or leave it until morning. Less risk of discovery with movement. Roger. I'll flag the files for hash first thing. Do not transmit to anyone, I said. No numbers in any text, voice only till we sit with Reyes. More Mary was eyes for 3 seconds, no more, no less, then opened them and let the truck become a cockpit again. The garage air smelled like warm dust and brake pads. I could taste it. I swallowed water I didn't want. General, Miller said, voice softer. It's clean. You did what you came to do. What I came to do was keep soldiers safe, I said. This is the path we're on to get there. More Mary, he said again like the word had a prayer in it. I drove once around the block to check the habit of tales I picked up in a different life, then headed for home. The sky over the freeway had that bruised color it gets when city lights push back at night. Somewhere, band practice for a high school cut through a building. The day rolled behind me in even miles. At a stoplight, the phone warmed my palm. I looked down. The backup icon glowed solid, then winked. The battery icon in the corner went thin and flashed red. Status? I asked. Secured. That last blink was the handset. Files safe. Good. I put the phone face down anyway. Doubt is a muscle. You can exercise it without letting it run your gait. I turned onto my street with the quiet of a man who has finally put weight on the first rung instead of the last. The house was a rectangle of light with the flag's shadow on one side like a second thought. The battery icon flashed red after the upload and kept flashing. I let it. Then I killed the engine and sat for 1 more second, listening to the tick of cooling metal, the car's version of a heartbeat you can trust. They arrived early, like storms that check the roof before the rain. Emily set plates with the care of a woman trying to talk 2 versions of her life into the same room. Mark came with 2 officers I knew by face and file, both good at appearing neutral. The casserole steamed between us like a peace offering that knew better. My dining room table had seen worse. Promotions mapped on napkins, condolences written in ink that bled, a folded flag's weight. Tonight it held a folder and a pen that wasn't mine. I placed my challenge coin in front of the pen and left it there, a quiet sentry. Let's just have a calm conversation, Emily said. Please. Calm is available, I said. Consent is not for sale. Folder forward an inch, the way car salesmen glide keys. Sir, the Veterans Scholarship Fund needs fresh leadership. I've drafted a transition. Simple. Clean. You'll be honorary chair. I'll shoulder the work. Paper doesn't get heavy for your hands, I said. One officer offered a gentle smile. General, we all respect what you've built. This would reassure donors. Donors are reassured by the truth, I said, not by rearranged names. Emily's voice tried to braid us back together. Dad, this avoids scandal. I'm asking you. What scandal? I said. Filing policy? Mark took his tone down where he thinks it sounds like care. No one wants this to turn adversarial. You can keep the title. I'll handle disbursements and messaging. That's not a fund, I said. That's a front. The officers glanced at each other, subtle as a code. Mark flipped open the folder, forms with blanks waiting for my hand. He put the pen on the table just right of center as if gravity had been trained. You sign, he said. I announce tomorrow and we avoid needless, noise. I looked past him at the wall calendar that Emily had pinned to the corkboard. The square for November 11, Ceremony 1000, tomorrow was blocked in blue, my name written beside it by a hand that had loved me since she could hold a crayon. Unofficial followed my eyes. Please, Dad, don't make tomorrow about this. Tomorrow is about veterans, I said. This is about honor. Disillusion leaned in. Honor is letting the next generation carry the weight while you bless it. Blessings are earned, I said, not drafted. He set a palm on the folder like it might run. I'm trying to protect your legacy. You use the word legacy the way people use cologne, I said, loud enough to cover something else. An officer cleared his throat. If the announcement comes from the family general, it plays better. It plays, I said, until it's reviewed. Mark kept his smile. Sir, I'm offering mercy. Mercy isn't theft with please and thank you. Something in his jaw twitched. He adjusted his cuff like rank could be tightened. Emily, tell him this is reasonable. She swallowed. Dad, I don't want to watch my family be torn apart in a room full of uniforms. I don't either, I said. That's why I refuse to sign lies at my table. He opened the folder wider and angled it toward me. The pen's clip caught the light. I did not move my coin. The coin did not move the pen. Look, he said, and tapped a summary page. This preserves your mission. You get the speech, I take the calls, we keep the aunties happy, everybody wins. Accept the truth, I said. He picked up the pen and set it closer to my hand, as if proximity courts consent. I picked up my water glass and took a sip so my hand would be doing something else. Emily's voice shook. Dad, please. I looked at her and let the anger go so she could see the love. You taught children to read, I said. You know the difference between a story and a lie. Mark laughed once, short. Sir, no one's lying. We're managing outcomes. Outcomes managed by the wrong man or harm. He tried on another face. I hate making you the bad guy. That's hate, I said. He dropped the smile. Sign it. The no. Sir, he said louder now to reach the officers, this is mercy. You already said that word, I said. It keeps not fitting. One officer ventured, General, perhaps you could sign a temporary authorization? 60 days? I shook my head. You don't loan out integrity. Mark's phone buzzed on the table. He turned it face down without looking. Tomorrow is going to be a celebration. You don't want to sour it with old business. This is current business, I said. The fund exists for soldiers living right now. He leaned back, studied me like a map he wanted to fold. You're making this hard. It's only hard if your aim is wrong. Prejudice the pen against the folder, an impatient metronome. People will ask questions if you refuse to show unity. Then I'll answer them. Pemley's eyes shone. Dad, unleashed across and laid my hand near hers without touching. I will not sign under pressure, I said. Not for a room, not for optics, not for love. The took a breath came out thin. You're confused, he said, then glanced at the officers for affirmation. About details. I'm clear on policy, I said, and on men. Lender, then at me. There's a way to make this painless. Pain belongs to what needs to be cut out, I said. Silence made itself at home for a moment. The kitchen ticked like a clock hiding in walls. The casserole cooled into something honest. I slid my phone from my pocket and, under the lip of the table, took one discreet photo of the folder and the hands around it. No codes, no names, just a still life of leverage. Then I locked the screen and set the phone face down. Last chance, Mark said, voice cooled by whatever people tell themselves they are. Sign and we control the narrative. You control nothing you didn't earn. He stood. The officers stood with him. The faintest choreographed courtesy. Emily stayed seated, which was the loudest thing she did all night. He smoothed his tie. You're stubborn, sir, I said. Cleanliness, I said. He palmed the pen, then set it down with ceremony that couldn't find a stage. He smiled in a way that needed an audience and had one. I'll be gracious tomorrow, he said. You be wise. Wisdom doesn't rent itself out. He nodded like he'd made a note. Then I suppose we're done. Tonight, I said. They shuffled to the door in a bundle of fragrances and certainty. I walk them there because I believe in hospitality even when it's wasted on guests. On the threshold, Mark turned back, putting his hand on the jamb as if my house needed bracing. His voice took that amplified softness men use when they're threatening politely. Tomorrow you'll announce the transition, or I will. Heart pulse. Pressure is only a vice if you forget your spine. Met me at JAG with a folder already squared to the desk edge. Addendum text as discussed, he said. Confirms governance. No transfer authority without your written consent. Position plain is the best steel, I said. He slid a single page into view and turned it toward the notary kiosk by the window. The clerk looked like a woman who could notarize a hurricane without moving a hair. Sign here, sir. The stamp arm came down with the gravity of a gavel. The embossed seal lifted in the light. Raised, circular truth. Reyes tapped it once with a pen cap. That's your visible anchor. No copies in pockets. Straight to file. Sluggish? Selmes NBC sealed in our vault, he said, already standing. If PAO asks, you tell them, governance confirmed, see counsel. Conserve. We walked the page to records. The clerk slid it into a sleeve and into the drawer with a soft shick that sounded like a door locking from the right side. Heart pulse. I don't need favor. I need the clock and a working mic. Abolish from Emily landed while the elevator descended. Please, Dad. Peaceful tone today. Don't make it a spectacle. Clang, only facts, I wrote. She sent a small heart. It felt heavier than the seal. Confiscated hall, the front desk coordinator handed me a plastic badge and an itinerary. A stack of extras showed the same line in bold. Veterans Day ceremony, 10 o'clock start. Callahan, 10:25. A printer word. Lanyards clacked. General, she said, a little too bright. Public Affairs wondered if they could get a copy of your slides. Tubishi. They can wonder, I said. She faltered. Eyes cutting to the ceiling camera, then back. Right. Of course, sir. The badge and moved down the corridor into the shadowed AV booth, where Mo Alvarez lived among cables and small blinking truths. He was already at the rack, sleeves up. Morning, General. House feed's moody. Ours isn't. He patted a switcher the way cavalry used to pat horses. Primary HDMI from podium, mirror to projector B. If they cut house, we stay lit. That's the line, I said. Say it again. If they cut house, he repeated with a grin, we stay lit. He pointed to a receiver with tape on it. And that's our own recorder. Redundant. Matches what you brought me at 0730. I hand on his challenge coined it like a baton handoff. Run me through the drill. Mo killed the house feed. Stage went dark on monitor A. Monitor B stayed alive, the slide deck frozen on the title card. He brought up the failover, then killed that and brought the house back. Redundancy works. Fails safe to us. He tapped the gooseneck on the podium. In the booth speaker, my own breathing was a small lake ripple. Check one. Check one, I said into the room. If they cut it here? Homosexual, he handed me a wired spare. We go hardline, no mixers, just a throat and copper. Confiscated the routine twice more until my mouth could say the lines without waiting for my brain. Down on the floor, ushers taped down a final gaffer strip like they were lacing a boot. A rehearsal of the color guard rolled past, boots answering the hall. Another text from Emily. Promise me you won't embarrass anyone. Unauthorized lies, I replied. Not people. No reply. Check the run of show card again. 10 o'clock start. Callahan, 10:25. A simple number can be a fulcrum when you mean it. Reyes called in as Mo recoiled a cable. We're filed and sealed. If PAO pushes for review, route them to me. They already sniffed, I said. Front desk winked it. He sighed. They'll try to cut your lane, stick to ours. Roger. Mo slid a thumb drive into a side port. This one's your deck, he said. And this one, he pulled a second from a tape slot. is your mirror. I'll keep both in the booth till you say go. Blackjack, we ran one last failover test. A tone burst blared from the house, then choked. Our monitor didn't blink. Beautiful, Mo said. House is fickle. Ours isn't. I looked out through the booth glass at the growing crowd, the slow tide of uniforms and families moving to seats by habit and love. A boy with a buzz cut leaned against his mother's shoulder. An old sergeant checked a ribbon with a thumb and then left it crooked, on purpose, I guessed. To Post-its was encouraging a man convene a loud science of post over proving me. Green rooms always smell like coffee that cooled too early. The lanyard badge at my chest pulsed a small LCD, T25. I set the laptop on the table, slid my challenge coin beside the trackpad and waited for Captain Reyes to pick up. General, he said on video, crisp as the morning, you have the file. I opened the clip info pane, no playback, and let the metadata drawer breathe just enough. On screen, the banner I wanted, hash header. No numbers, no codes read aloud, just the word that matters to people who do this correctly. Mo, I said. Mo Alvarez leaned over my shoulder from the doorway, eyes on the label. Header present, we mirror this exact source to the failover deck. Say the chain note out loud. Camera, local card, cloud backup, complete yesterday. No edits, header verified. Camera to local, mirrored to cloud last night. No edits, header visible, I said. We'll hash with you after remarks. Pit trim, Reyes said. Do not play the content, header only. Understood. Numudor took the HDMI tail from my machine and fed it into his switcher. On his small monitor, the words hash headboarder sat like a seal that doesn't need applause. He toggled to the mirror deck, matched sources, and toggled back. One click to swap on stage. Hinge squeaked. A junior PAO rep leaned in with a clipboard she held like a badge. Quick tech check on your slides, General. We can help with pacing. Council handles pacing, I said. She tried a smile, just to ensure nothing surprises the program. Understood belonged to birthday parties, I said. This is a ceremony. Herberg, her eyes flicked to the laptop screen. Mo stepped between. Green room is busy, he said gently. Text, she tapped her phone with her thumb. I'll let our office know you're set. She backed out, already texting someone who wasn't us. My phone buzzed harder, as if it had an opinion. Emily, please don't play anything. Please, Dad. Only the truth, and only when my slot is called, I wrote. Reyes watched me write it. Good language, he said. Stay literal. Mo pointed to the mirror deck. Header authenticated, source mirrored. If house cuts, we press 1 and stay alive. I closed the metadata pane. The header disappeared. I breathed once the way you do before you step onto a range you trust. Heart pulse. Truth needs witnesses, not volume. Reyes, I said, if PAO escalates, route to me. Your lane is remarks. Ours is chain. Deepfakes drown in paperwork. Mo grinned. I'm stealing that. You can borrow it, Reyes said. You can't edit it. A stagehand poked in, hair wild with headset static. Callahan, stage manager, says 5-minute drift. You're still at 10:25. We're hanging placards now. I nodded. We moved to the wings, where the world narrows into light lines and tape stripes. Through the curtain gap, I saw the placard go up on the easel by the podium. On deck, 10:25. The hallway clock read 10. The LCD on my badge kept its math. T25. Blankets that laptop on the booth shelf and drape the HDMI like a secure line. One more rehearsal, he said. No playback, I reminded. Header only. Disillusion. He flashed the hash headers label for one heartbeat on the booth monitor, then killed it. Good. Finger memory. The phone. You have my note. Header seen by counsel in AV, mirror prepared, no display beyond header. Logged, he said. Asian, your response is, off-filed header, chain on record, see counsel. Nothing else. Copy. Appeared in the hall and stopped when she saw the on-deck placard. She swallowed whatever she'd come to say and texted again instead. Tage Emily found me in the side corridor with eyes that asked me to be a different man for a day. Please, don't embarrass him, or me. I'll embarrass lies, I said, not people. They'll blame you. Clang. They can try. The clock doesn't. She touched my sleeve and let go. I'll be in the third row. Then I'll look above your head, I said, and that got the smallest smile we could afford. Mo returned to the booth and rested his fingers over the switches. The hall's murmur rose and fell, then settled into the hush before a thing begins. The color guard formed in the wings. A bugle's test note cracked and then came true. The stage manager hung the placard herself like a promise. On deck, 10:25. My badge flashed T25. Mo's voice came soft over the intercom from the booth. That's our window. 10:17 in brass numbers that didn't care who read them. The placard on the easel still held my line. Callahan, 10:25. A small crowd drifted where crowds always drift, toward noise and uniforms. Emily reached me first. Skip your remarks, she whispered. Please, optics. Optics don't bury soldiers, I said. Policy does or doesn't. She looked past me, already bracing. They're saying you're worked up. I'm worked steady. Connexion rep arrived with an aide and a clipboard like a bayonet. General, quick program shuffle. We're dropping your slot. A family tribute needs the time. Run of show says 10:25, I said. Flexible, she said, smiling the way people do when they think they've already won. If we review your content first, perhaps we can reslot you. No pre-screen, I said. Council has the chain. I kept my hands in my pockets so they could do nothing but press the coin into my palm. Mark slid in, cologne first, concern second. Sir, he said softly, for the audience, no one wants a scene. Your message can be delivered later. It's used for never, I said. The aide put a hand on the placard like he might turn it. The stage manager intercepted with the speed of someone who has stopped real trouble before. Don't touch that. PAO rep kept her smile. We're just protecting the dignity of the day. Then stop lying to it, I said. Emily tugged my sleeve. Dad, please. I bent my head toward her. I can take the heat, just leave me the mic and the clock. The committee clerk hustled up with a tablet, hairpins holding more than hair. Who's asking for a change? Public affairs, the rep said, already bored. We'll drop Callahan, move the tribute. On whose authority? The clerk asked. Program integrity, the rep said, which isn't a person. The clerk tapped, then looked up. Run of show is frozen. No changes inside 30 minutes without board vote. We are at 8 minutes. She turned the tablet so the rep could see the rule she already knew. No pre-screening. Remarks stand as scheduled. Mark tried another door. Perhaps we delay 5 minutes to allow. Clock doesn't bend for feelings, the clerk said. Stage manager? 8-minute call, the stage manager said into her headset. Color guard to wings. Speaker Callahan on deck. PAO rep dropped a smile. We are responsible for media risk. Then watch it, I said. Policy is the adult in the room. The rep leaned toward Emily, lowering her voice. This could embarrass your family. Emily's face went pale, then stubborn. He'll be brief, she said, surprising both of us. Mark turned to the small ring of officers who'd wandered close. We all want what's best for the institution. The general is confused about dates. It happens. I let the words hang. Every man in uniform has seen a smear dressed as compassion. The ones worth keeping look away. My phone buzzed at my hip. Mo. Feed stable. PAO sniffing booth. I typed with my thumb. Failover alive? Alive. Redundant, he sent back. Take, the rep said back to me. We can place your remarks at the luncheon instead. Fewer cameras. I'm here for witnesses, I said, not cameras. The clerk checked her tablet again as if someone might have rewritten the rules in the last 30 seconds. Callahan remains at 10:25, she said, louder now for the benefit of the half-circle listening. Run of show is frozen. The aide took his hand off the placard like it had burned him. Emily exhaled. Mark smiled at me the way men smile when they can't find a lever. Think about legacy, he murmured. I am, I said. The rep stepped close enough for perfume. If you defy guidance, she said, we'll cut house feed. Then you'll cut house feed, I said. We'll stay lit. She glanced at the stage manager, who already wasn't listening. Heart pulse, heat's fine. The mic and the clock are all I need. The stage door opened a crack. I saw the podium waiting in a clean pool of light. A volunteer straightened the flag fringe with 2 fingers. Somewhere over the sound system, the coordinator said, 8 minutes. Mark leaned one last time. Sir, don't do this to Emily. I'm not doing anything to Emily, I said. I'm doing something for the truth. The PAO aide raised his radio. They won't move him. Cuffle, the voice crackled. Then pressure the booth. My phone buzzed again, harder. Mo, house feed threatened. The committee clerk faced the little audience like a witness taking an oath. Run of show is frozen. Callahan stays at 10:25. Jing, I met the rep's eyes and didn't blink. The placard didn't move. The clock did. My phone buzzed a third time. Mo again. House feed threatened. The hallway air turned thin the closer we got to the wings, as if the building had started holding its breath. The placard still read Callahan, 10:25. The wall clock beside it said 10:23, in digits that didn't apologize. Talk, the PAO rep intercepted me at the curtain with her aide and a smile pinned like a badge. General, quick update. For program flow, we'll take a respectful salute only from you. 2-minute cap, no visuals. Schedules aren't feelings, I said. I go at 10:25. We're protecting dignity, she said smoothly. No slides, no surprises. I brought neither, I said. I brought facts. Emily made it to my elbow, eyes wide, voice low. Please, just salute and sit. Don't make it worse. I'll keep to facts, I said. She shook her head. Facts don't matter if they hate you. They matter to anyone worth saving, I said. Behind us, Mark worked a small circle of uniforms like a man selling umbrellas under a leaking roof. He's confused about dates, he said, just loud enough to travel. We're trying to keep it dignified. A captain glanced my way, then away, the way men look when they're being told to pick a side and wish there weren't sides. The stage manager lifted her headset. On deck, 2 minutes, she called. The crew echoed it down the line. 2 minutes can be a life if you know what to do with it. My phone buzzed once at my hip. Mo, house politics ugly. Then again, hold steady. Kriar PAO aide angled his body to block the path to the podium like we were on a subway and his stop came first. Sir, we can slot your remarks at the luncheon instead. Less risk. I'm not a risk, I said. I'm a promise. The rep tried another tack. We've cut house projectors for this segment to keep the focus on the honor guard. Projectors aren't honor, I said. Men are. Emily's hand tightened on my sleeve. Please. At her and not through her. I wanted her to remember that I saw her in the moments I didn't give her what she asked. I'll be brief, I said. I'll be clear. Inconvenience and clear can still hurt, she said. Hurt, I said. I'm trying to make it honest. The committee clerk hustled by with her tablet, hairpins defending their territory. Stage is locked, she told the rep without stopping. Run of show stands. Within our cap, the rep called after her. The clerk didn't answer. Good. Mark drifted closer, the cologne arriving first. Sir, he said for the audience, this isn't the time. Time is what we wrote on the card, I said. Killing mouth ticked. Family first. Expelled. Soldiers first, I said. He smiled as if he'd just been charitable toward my stubbornness. Don't frighten the donors. Donors aren't in charge, I said. A murmur rippled through the hall, that low animal sound crowds make when a change slips under their seats. The stage manager raised her arm. Color guard, stand by, speaker on deck. The PAO rep stepped closer, perfume a little louder than the conversation. General, if you deviate from the cap, we will cut. You will appear difficult. I can take the heat, I said. Leave me the mic and the clock. To 9 cleanliness, do when deciding whether to waste more breath.
2 minutes, she said. Salute, sit.
She nodded to her aide, who spoke into a radio like he had just been given a mission. Heart pulse, let them take light, they can't take truth from a live voice. Once on the syllable of my name.
Dad?
I'll be kind, I said, to the truth. The caught my eye and pointed on deck. A bugle note cracked, then found itself. I felt the challenge coin in my fist. I was squeezing it hard enough to make a circle in my palm. I opened my hand and slid the coin back into my pocket. A man should know when to release a thing he doesn't need to hold to keep. Mo's voice hissed into my earbud, the booth line barely open.
Heads up, he said low. Powell leaned on facilities. They're trying to force house only for video.
We have failover, I said.
Failover draws off Projev killed our tie to house screens.
We can keep audio? Visuals? No. Voice is enough. Gur on the switch. Mark angled one last time, lips to my ear like a confession. If you love Emily, you'll keep it clean. I'll keep it true, I said. That's how love works. He stepped back, disappointed in the part of me he couldn't rewrite. The PAO rep took her place at the aisle, ready to signal cut, like a conductor who thinks silence is music. The wall clock clicked its indifferent click. 10:24 slid toward 10:25. The placard still carried my name. Like a dare, someone had forgotten to retract. The stage manager's headset popped. Bring him up, she said. We're live in 60. Emily stared at the floor, jaw looked, as if looking up wanted to touch her shoulder. I didn't. We keep promises, different ways. My phone vibrated again. No text this time, just the open line from the booth. Mo, voice flat with work. House projectors just went dark, ordered from PAO. We can run voice only. The stage light found the podium like a searchlight finds a ship. The podium clock rolled over to 10:25 as the stage manager's headset snapped. We're live. I walked out to the wood where so many better men had stood and set my challenge coin at the base of the mic. I touched it once. I said, brief remarks, only facts. From the wing, the PAO rep lifted a hand to cut. The house projector stayed black. My mic stayed alive. Demolished. Looked beyond the third row, just above where Emily sat. We honor veterans by telling the truth in full daylight, I said. We don't bury truth to spare vanity. The PAO aide hissed toward the booth. Mo's voice clicked in my ear, steady. Audio hot. Routing now. On his rack, the recorder's red tally. Live glowed like a small, honest sunrise. Punished once. You'll hear a recording made yesterday, I said. No images, you'll recognize the voice. The PAO rep stepped into the aisle. Stop, she began. Technic Colonel Avery didn't stand, but his voice carried. Let the speaker proceed. I leaned to the mic. Play. A room has a soul when sound claims it. Mark's voice entered clean, stripped of charm by fidelity. No useless old man tonight. A ripple moved through uniforms and suits like wind through wheat. Then the sentence that weighs what it says. I've got his daughter's money and soon I'll have the general's niece. Chairs creaked. Someone in row 5 swore under breath and bit it off. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. I did not look at her. I kept my eyes on the back wall, where men go when they have to hold steady. The PAO aide stabbed at a tablet. Nothing died. Mo murmured into my ear, failover holding. If house cuts, we stay lit. The audio kept going. Laugh, bed rustle, the quiet cruelty of casual confidence. Then Mark again, crisp enough to notarize. He's confused. I'll run the fund. We'll say it's his wish. The rep said, louder. The committee clerk rose with her tablet like a gavel. Program order. Speaker has the floor. Sit down. Avery's jaw set. He tipped his chin a quarter inch toward me. Permission? No, just witness. I raised a hand and Mo brought the volume down to a humane level, then to silence at my touch. Those are his words, I said. Mine are shorter. The fund stays where the bylaws put it. The file's authenticated. Counsel has chain. Dad, please. Her voice broke on the last letter. Please. I'm brief, I said to her, to all of them, and done. Mark stood halfway down the aisle, a man made suddenly of angles. He tried to smile and spoke toward Avery as if I weren't there. Sir, that audio, context. Conserve is for facts, I said. This is confession. Demolished, the PAO rep snapped. You are outside the cap. I'm within the truth. Avery lifted his hand. Order. Mark pushed into the aisle, face draining to the color of paper. Sir, Colonel Emily, listen, this is... He looked at me, and the room saw the thing snap behind his eyes. The front he'd rehearsed couldn't hold weight. He stepped onto the first stair to the stage and lost a sentence. His foot found the next rather than the word he needed. He reached the apron, breath short. Then he did what men do when there's no more run left. He dropped to his knees on the wood, both hands open. Not theater collapse. General, he said into the room, voice breaking on the rank he had borrowed for years. I'm sorry. He looked at Emily like the apology could be aimed at only one person and count for all harms. Her chin shook. She didn't speak. Of course, I kept my hands at my sides, so I couldn't lift a man who had asked to be carried his whole career. Stand on your own, I said, calm. Not unkind. Turbulence, I lied, he said. I used your name, I'm sorry, please. The last word broke into silence because there wasn't anything clean left for him to ask. TAO rep tried one last desperate order. Cut audio, she started. Mo stood with him. Half a beat later, out of reflex, then settled back. He looked to the clerk. Recess. The clerk called it, voice official. Brief recess, she said. 10 minutes, remain seated. She didn't look at me or at Mark when she said it. She looked at the hall, the way a judge looks at a courtroom when it is very important that it remember itself. Emily's eyes found mine. Please don't say more, she whispered. Only facts, I said, soft and briefly. Heart pulse. Justice is truth with witnesses. At the aisle, Reyes lifted 2 fingers and touched his ear. Call me. Then pointed to the side door where we'd step into the process that follows the storm. I picked up my coin, slid it into my pocket, and left the mic live behind me with the honesty still humming in the wood. The side conference room smelled like coffee, left to think for itself. The recess timer on the wall slid up, the seconds clicking polite little orders. Colonel Avery stood at the head of the table, jaw set to work. Captain Reyes had a folder squared to the edge, pen capped. The committee clerk waited near the door with a thin envelope. Mo hovered with 2 thumb drives on a short lanyard, calm as a chapel. Mark tried for the seat beside Avery. The clerk stepped in with quiet authority. Not for this portion, sir. He pretended not to hear. Colonel, if we could. Avery didn't raise his voice. Major Ellison, you'll listen, not direct. Emily stood just inside, small as a question she didn't want to ask. I kept my hands in view and my breathing even. Risabir opened his folder. Sequence, he said. 1. Governance confirmation, on file. 2. Administrative relief pending inquiry. 3. Sworn statement windows. The clerk slid the memo to Avery, then turned it toward me only long enough for the header to meet the light. Letterhead, interim relief pending inquiry. That was the single cue the moment required. No codes, no numbers. The clerk withdrew it from view and placed it in front of Mark with a second copy held for signature. Autographed the table, then the room. Effective immediately, Major Ellison is relieved of command duties pending inquiry. You will surrender access to the scholarship fund, all related accounts and any comms lists. You will not contact staff about governance. Mark laughed once. A dry break. Sir, with respect, this is theater. Reyes, theater has curtains. This has logs. Mark's eyes landed on me. You did this to me. Unrestricted the truth to witnesses, I said. You did the rest. He turned back to Avery. Colonel, consider my record. Consider appearances. We can solve this quietly. We don't salvage rank at the price of trust, I said. Avery didn't contradict me. He gave the clerk a nod.
Record that line, he said. The clerk's stylus moved. Mo stepped forward, just enough to be seen, not heard. Audio archive complete, he said to me low. Primary on booth, mirror here. He placed the 2 thumb drives in my palm, as if they were small, sleeping animals. Per plan, counsel gets custody. I handed them to Reyes without looking at them. Chain clean.
The recess timer touched 000 and went black. The room felt brighter for knowing where it had to go next.
Major Ellison, Avery said, acknowledge the relief.
Sir, if we let the general continue, we'll embarrass the institution.
You embarrass the institution, Avery said. We are correcting it.
The clerk placed a pen by the memo. Initial here to acknowledge receipt, she said. Mark didn't touch it. Emily, he said, reaching with voice rather than hand. Please. Emily looked at me, not him. I need distance, she whispered. Take it, I said. My door stays open. She nodded, a motion with weight. If love is a house, doors sometimes need to close to prove they work. Reyes resumed. Statements, he said. as if the human storm were just weather around a checklist. MSG Harlan has offered testimony. We'll book him tomorrow for a sworn statement at 0900 or 1300. I called Harlan from my contacts on speaker. He answered before ring 2. Name the time. 900, Reyes said. Roger, Harlan said. On record. Once, then set it down. Next, board hearing notice. We'll calendar for November 0900. You'll accompany me. I nodded. Language on contact? He gave me the line he'd already taught me. If asked, you say, relief memo served, governance confirmed, statement scheduled, board hearing set with counsel. Nothing more. Copy, I said. The PAO rep appeared in the doorway and saw the shape of the room. Whatever she'd planned died in her throat. Reyes didn't invite her in. Avery didn't look up. Mark tried the last lesson he knew, volume. You can't freeze me out of my family, he said, too loud for the square footage. You did that, Emily said, quiet enough to count as mercy. The clerk tapped the memo. Acknowledgement, major. Her voice could have notarized rain. He finally made 3 initials, angry little shapes that looked ashamed to be seen. Discharged him to admin, Avery told a waiting sergeant in the hall. Badge deactivated, device retained for review. Aid to the air. That's your right, Reyes said. File it with counsel. The sergeant waited with the patience of men who have done this before and will do it again. Mark hesitated like a man who has never left a room without owning it. Then he went. Mo exhaled the way crew does when the scene changes and the show doesn't fall. House is stable, he murmured to me. Your lane's held. Thank you, I said. Reyes stacked the paperwork photo neat and set his palm on top like a lid. I set my challenge coin on his folder, then picked it up and put it back in my pocket where it belonged. Small rituals keep men from trying bigger, stupider ones. General, Avery said, we'd appreciate a measured tone when we resume. You'll get facts, I said. Good, he looked at Emily. Ms. Ellison, you may take your seat when ready. We will ensure decorum. She nodded, not trusting sound. We stepped into the lobby, where the air still carried the last of the crowd murmur. No one blocked my way. No one offered a handshake they didn't mean. The flag in the corner found its own breeze. Reyes's phone buzzed, then mine. He showed me his screen so I wouldn't need to show him mine. Board hearing, 9/18, 0900, with Reyes. Calendar invite sent, he said. We'll prep statements Monday. Copy. My phone pinged the same event into place. Beneath the alert sat an unread message from Emily, sent before this room before collapse. I didn't open it. Some things need to cool before you touch them. We didn't do triumph, we did the next step. Heart pulse. Relief isn't triumph, it's order restored. Wage toward the rear exit with Reyes the clerk and Mo. The door's push bar gave under my hand, like work done right. The sky outside was unremarkable, which is what I wanted from it. On the screen, the calendar ping sat bright. Board hearing, November 18, 0900, with Reyes. Emily's unread text lingered under it like a quiet reminder of what still needed mending. As empty, but my breath was steady. Patience did what fury never could. It kept the door open for justice and closed it on deceit. I am no useless old man. I am an old man who waits well. I set the challenge coin on the wood and let it answer. A single, clean tap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you resonate with this story.